Hey guys, Andy N, my friend Quigley CB. Now, there's something we've forgotten to do Quigley first half, wasn't there?
Yes.
I'll let you tell people.
Basically, just the book is out under my full name because CB is short for Cryan Brockbank, but it's a bit long, so most of my social media and stuff is under CB. But the book is by Quigley Cryan Brockbank. But it should be track downable anyway.
Yeah, I think people will probably find you anyway if you search a Quigley CB, but yeah, it's worth it. Just a
Yeah,
little bit
there
of
aren't that many
clarification.
Quigleys.
No, it's not. What is Quigley? Is it an Irish name, that is it?
I usually just say it's an Irish name because it kind of cuts short inquiry. And the thing is, I don't really know. There was no clear reason for it. It's not really a name. It's a
Yeah.
surname. And I've asked my parents about it, and they give me a different answer every time. So I don't know what the actual reasoning is.
So in other words, then they were in the pub and got plastered and they can't remember.
I think so. They won't admit to it.
Parents. That's all I'm going to say on that one. So I could do stuff about mine and Amanda's family, but that will get me crucified. So yeah, on my names. Let's move on. Okay, now part two of that series of reading today. So quickly, unless you change the plans on me, he's going to do one complete story and an extract on another one. Is that correct? Still,
Yeah. I was thinking I'd do 40 days and 40 nights because I haven't got to read that in many places, and
please
it's
do.
reasonably short.
Please do. Do you want to do that
Uh,
one first and give us the extract second then?
sure.
Take it
Well,
away.
this is 40 days and 40 nights. I'm walking down a street, and the air is so warm that the whole town feels sunbaked. The concrete slabs are like cobblestones beneath the blinding glare of pure sun rays. This street is just by my house, and during the short walk, I can already feel each cell of me renewing. I've decided that I'm going to buy a coffee from my favorite place, which is good. It's very good, and it's what I want. It's at my ankles now. I'm running down the same street. It's overcast today, but that's all right. I'm used to the whims of the weather in the city. As I run, I breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth. I'm not going too fast, but I think I am improving my speed. It's definitely getting better. I actually really enjoy running. That's why I'm here. I run by the coffee place. Maybe later I will buy another coffee. It's at my knees now. My friend has invited me over. We sit on her sofa wrapped in blankets on a cold evening. She asks me how I'm doing. I say, good, and look her in the eye while I say it. Then I ask her how she is. We talk about her partner for a while. They have wronged her in 11 small ways, and she seems grateful to get the chance to speak at length about each of them. I walk home alone. I picture how it would feel to be walking home with someone else. Would it make things better? I decide that it wouldn't, but I think about them anyway. It's at my thighs now. I go on a date. I'm surprisingly unnervous. We hug hello, and they smile at me and pull out a chair. We speak for a while, and over time the evening passes. The conversation is pleasant, and when it pauses, I think of new things to say, so at no point are we left in silence. By the time it's over, we hug goodbye and leave separately. I don't remember anything that they've said to me. It's at my back now. I go home to visit my family. It's Sunday evening somewhere that feels like August, and as I walk into the kitchen, they are all standing around in a circle. They are talking, laughing, drinking. I stand behind them and wait for them to notice me and open up a space. I stand there for a while. They seem to be enjoying their conversation. When some time has passed, I leave unnoticed and stand in my room instead. It's at my chest now. I am at a party. All of my friends are here and they're having a good time. When I come back into the room, they notice me and they pat me on the back as they bring me into their small gatherings. They ask me what I think about things, and I nod and give them my opinion. Sometimes, when it feels appropriate, I laugh. Somehow, I still feel like I am standing in a kitchen on a Sunday in August. When the party ends, I walk home alone. It is not far to walk. It's at my neck now. I am standing in my living room. I am holding something in my hand. I haven't looked down yet to see what it is. I am staring out of the window. I do not know what day it is. I do not know how long I have been here. It's at my mouth now. I go to the market. I think to myself, that is a good thing to do. I think to myself, that is something that I like to do. The woman behind the till smiles at me as she weighs what I've bought. I smile back without opening my mouth. When I pay, she asks me if there's anything else, and she calls me love in a sweet tone. I smile at her again and shake my head. I think about opening my mouth to speak, but if I did, it would happen then. That would let it in or out. I picture myself speaking, and I know it would fill my mouth and start pouring down my throat and flood my lungs, and I want to cry to her and ask, can she not see it? Can she not see it on me? Does she not know what to do? Does she know anyone that could help? I want to touch the hem of her coat. I want to stand close behind her and cling on to her leg and let her lead me through my own life. Can she see that I'm not well? Can she see it's in my mouth and my lungs and it's still rising? Oh no, honestly, that was a while ago. No, like I know what that was about. It was just me being a bit melodramatic. Like I was having a hard time, but really it was fine. It was just one of those things, where like 10 small things hit you at once and you have an existential crisis, not enough vitamin D or exercise or time out of the house, and you don't notice it, but it all just sneaks up on you and suddenly you feel terrible. But that's really all it was. And honestly, like I'm grand. Now I'm genuinely feeling much better. Yeah, I'd love to hang out. That would be really nice. And it does seem to have passed. And if I don't look down, I don't feel it or remember it anymore. And if I don't look down, I don't see it pouring out of me still.
Fantastic, absolutely brilliant. Now, what got me with that was when you're reading it, it shows you really when when you're reading a book sometimes when you hear somebody read it out, is those little lines, stuff like that, where it's at my ankle, it's at my knees now. It more, I think maybe when you read it, even it felt more tension. I really thought the tension started to build up on that.
I'm glad that comes across.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
It was different in the way it read to me in the book, but obviously, like I said, very different the way you read it live. And do you find that when you're reading some of these stories out after you look back at them, and think to yourself, it feels very different to the way it reads on the page?
well, I think the thing is, whenever I write or read them out loud, they're always the same. So it's kind of hard for me to imagine what it's like to people who aren't in the same head as me or haven't heard me already read it because I'm like, well, it will obviously come across like this. And everyone actually has their own interpretation of what it will sound like. Like that one for me is quite like there's clearly something wrong from the start. But like I think for different people that's not true. And it's the way I read it, it maybe comes across more like that.
Yeah, I think it probably does it. It just shows your interpretation through in the spoken language, so actually the way it reads. So, no, great story. Anyways, I've really enjoyed hearing you do that. So, I said to you, it's
Thanks.
not one I heard you read, so I got a different feel to it. It's the first time I heard you read that. So, brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
just imagine I'm saying numbers in between each thing,
yeah.
like
One
two
on
little
one,
ducks,
legs 11,
22.
yeah, or 22.
Yeah.
Or I know. Listen, we'll go on. We all day doing big bloody calls, won't we? So, right. Anyway. Let's move on. So, okay, now you're going to do an extract for us, aren't you, from a story? So,
Yeah, I thought I'd just read the first bit of Galatia because I never really get a chance to read this anywhere because it's so long. But I do like it. Um, I'm not entirely sure how much I'm going to read, but I guess I will read until it feels like I should stop.
sounds good to me. Okay, you got loads of time. Okay, as far as that, I wouldn't say read all of it. We'd be here all
No, we'll
night
be here
otherwise.
all evening.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
a good chunk's good to me. Okay, take it away, my friend.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, this is Galatia. I first began to notice my illness sometime in childhood. I cannot pinpoint exactly when, owing to the fact that, at the time, I had not learned my behavior was abnormal. With little recourse to other children, and certainly none in open confidence, I simply assumed that any strange afflictions or tribulations were shared horrors along the winding path to adulthood. And indeed, what I later came to identify as pathology hardly seemed more unlikely or unusual than the many facets of puberty that beset each child in turn. And so I spoke to no one of my illness, not knowing that there was any illness in particular to speak of, and spoke little in general, and to few. My family certainly did not notice, but as I came from a particularly large one, teeming with loud younger siblings and wayward elder ones, this should come as no surprise. My mother, to my memory a kind woman of somewhat hollowed countenance and an uncertain air, as if she lingered behind whatever was really happening, had left when the last of her children was born. We were never told exactly why, though the size and intensity of her family may well stand as justification alone. I cannot help but picture her, even now, as borne aloft on a gentle breeze, and carried just out of reach of us, perhaps hovering round some other family, or drifting through some natural scene, finally free of the weight of her progeny. We never discovered either if my father knew of her reasons for leaving, but it was painfully evident that her absence wounded him on some level at all times, a pain that lingered always somewhere as her body had once done. For this pain arose from a form of detachment that left him able to feed and clothe us always, to complete his work that paid for our care, to continue his position as a respected figure of our small community, but never, never to talk to us. He would occasionally chide or instruct, but in all my years of knowing him, I cannot recall a single instance of him speaking to any of his children when it was not strictly necessary. I cannot remember a single laugh, nor any grim smile. I am certainly never held his children, never touched them at all, even when they cried out in the night, begging him just to look upon them and be present. It was as if the shutters had closed behind his eyes, and we were left to grow and learn in the empty space of his blindness. The succession of nannies he employed were qualified to act in his place, but the sheer number of children left unanimous connection impossible. The poor women were always having to choose between favouring some individuals with their attentions and ignoring others, or spreading their attention more evenly and leaving all dissatisfied. Over time, as each nanny realized their inevitable, insurmountable task, they would each beg my father for support. Each was in turn placated, neglected, and finally they either quietly resigned, knowing help simply would not come, or they raged and cried out for help, and so were dismissed in private for their insolence. Or so we surmised from our position outside the towering oak door of my father's office. With each new nanny came a new vying between each of my siblings for attention, affection, even aggression, any form of palpable feeling this new stranger could provide. Though different minders had different favourites, the main core of each was predictable enough. The youngest, maybe, or the most handsome, often the mischievous ones that had taught themselves how to draw one's notice forth without drawing anger out with it. Some found a perverse preference for the naughtier children as an outlet for the rage and frustration that often followed conversations with my father, though these children were blessed with attention and cursed with resentment by the same eye. On occasion, a quieter nanny may express preference for one of the quieter children, but this stratum too had an array of options. The sweeter looking child, the more pitiful child, the more artistic or sensitive child was always perceived as a delicate vessel that required or could hold more love than any of the others. Being none of these things, neither so handsome nor so deformed as to draw the eye, so boisterous nor so sensitive as to draw the heart, I learnt from an early age that I did not have a place within the household. At best I occupied a similar space to the less necessary items of furniture, a footstool perhaps, or some plain ceramic, an erroneous addition rarely noted and never brought to mind unless inconvenient or in the way. Thus, with no offers of nurture or sustenance, I taught myself to simply live without it. I accepted my place within the hierarchy, and within a few short years I found I did not desire or miss such attention, and could be quite content to continue life as merely one of many. In this way, I garnered little criticism and the occasional passing praise. I was beyond my years, or very well behaved. My sisters, and at times even my brothers, were encouraged to look to me for the model of how to behave, yet each child clung violently to his own mode of being, desperate not to be left as I was, not to learn to master themselves as I had. And I think I'll leave it there.
Good place to wrap up with there quickly straight away. Some excellent stuff. So we're not going to give people any spoilers what happens in the rest of that story. So as we will say, buy the book. So
Very, very true.
brilliant stuff, Quigley. It's been great to catch up tonight anyway. So hopefully we'll catch up in the new year anyway, when I hear all about your
Yeah,
adventures in Estonia. Well, the ones that you can repeat anyway, right?
sounds
So
good.
thank you again, Quigley. Okay, it's been brilliant.
Thanks for
Okay.
having me.
Good luck with the book and fingers crossed for book number two in Estonia as well. So keep us informed. So
I
okay.
will. Thanks a lot.
Okay, guys, it goes, yeah, that's it tonight for another spoken label episode. Thank you again to my friend Quigley CB. As Don Callis over at AEW Wrestling says, stay safe and stay over. And we will see you all next